If you want to build marketing briefs in Airtable, then you've come to the right video. If you haven't met me before, my name is Ben Green. I'm the owner of Optimize IS. We build solutions like this for marketing departments all over the world, all the time. So if you're interested, check out a link in the description. You can book a call with me or someone on my team, and we can talk through stuff just like I'm going to show you in this video. So in the last video, what I did is I created this little idea interface where it goes from an idea to a brief, but we're going to extend this past just briefs and start planning some content as well. So what I have added thus far is just a really simple idea form. Ideas don't require much to them. They just basically need a title for the idea, or in this case, it's called a name, and then any notes that are relevant. So I have this one. This is actually my last video that I was doing, which is showing how to do update record forms with Airtable. I even went as far as adding some raw files. I should fill in some other things because currently this is an idea. So if I want to turn this into a brief, I can see a few things that are missing. So in order to turn it into a brief, I need a purpose. So the purpose of this is to help users validate certain data is collected between stages. There. The audience for this are Airtable users. And this is how far I've gotten thus far, is I can take this idea. I've now filled in a few required fields for this idea, and I can submit this to be a brief. So now we have this brief, and let's now go into the editor mode. Shorten some stuff up over here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is this field is really only relevant to me if the stage is idea. So now that is going to be hidden. And if I preview this again as me, because this is now in brief, that field is now hidden. If I went to what is a marketing brief, I could see this field is shown. So just trying to clean up my interface a little bit. That way it's really optimized for whatever the current scenario is. So I'm going to go back out of preview mode. I also really only care to see this if all of these things are true and the stage is idea. So now if I go back to preview this again, I don't see the button here anymore. I don't see the button here because I can't submit it yet. But if I had typed anything in audience and anything in purpose, I could now submit this and it would then go to brief. So this is good. This is where I want this for the stage of being a brief. Let's go back out of preview mode. Now I want to start planning some content around this. So I have what here is listed here basically as a marketing project now, or a marketing brief is what we're calling it in this scenario. And I want to add a field down here to start planning some posts. So if I come here, and I think I actually should already have a linked record to posts right here, but otherwise I would create a field here and link it to the posts table. So if I search for posts, it initially brings it in as the linked record field, but I'm just going to switch this over to be a view. This next part is going to be my personal preference. Well, I guess first we should only have this be visible if we're in the brief stage. So I should only be able to plan content if it's in the brief stage. So if I click on this whole view over here, I'm going to scroll all the way down to rules and only show this if stage is brief. Now what goes into this? So if I click back on here, before I start editing what the actual list or grid or timeline view or calendar view looks like in here, I want to just enable some few things by default. So I want to sort, search, filter, group, add records through a form. I'm going to leave off link and unlink records for now. Maybe later I might do that. I don't really care to let anybody export this as a CSV. I do care to let them click into this, like click into the records down there. So let's click back into the white space here. And I've set my visibility rules. So I think that is all good. I can edit the form that's going to show up here in a second. And And let's say we'll show this as full width just so we get the maximum benefit from this. And the last thing that we want to do, or well, the last thing that I want to do is this is just my personal preference. I prefer to have the grid view over the list view. I'm more of a traditionalist Airtable user. I haven't really gotten used to the list view yet as far as my preference. So when I look at post down here, this is going to be a name for the post. This is going to be a page. Other things we would want to have is a status. Well, we don't have a posting date, a status. We could have tags on here if we wanted ideas. Like, well, this is technically running off the ideas table, so that's automatically going to be filled in. I could bring in the live URL. And I think that is probably pretty good. We'll also bring in attachments. Within this grid, so now instead of clicking on the whole element here, I'm only clicking within this grid. I want to be able to edit records inline and add or delete records inline. A few years ago, you couldn't add or delete linked records inline. This is like a super nice feature. So let's preview this and see what it would look like as me now. So this one looks a lot different because it's in the idea phase and I haven't filled in a few things. If I had filled in those, I could then submit it to a brief. Once I submit it to a brief, it would look like this. So I have introduced some raw files here. I have my audience and I can start entering records inline. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to say I want to post on Ben Green YouTube. The status of this should ideally be defaulted, but I'm going to now plan this content, or I may even mark it in progress since I've already went as far as introducing the raw video files from my last video. I want to plan to post this, let's say next Thursday. And this is going to be this is actually something I think where ideally I'm going to introduce a type field, a post type. So let's go out of the preview mode. This post table, what makes a post unique is really it's on a specific platform on a date with a specific live URL. Because you could post twice on a platform, but different URLs. So I think those are some of the things that make it unique. The other thing is I think I also usually have an auto number field. So it's not called auto number, it's probably called ID. Nope. It actually looks like I do not have that. So I like to have an auto number field because then it's easier to reference that as like a unique identifier. Like I'll go look at post 534, for example. So search the auto number field and now we have that. So if you come back over here, I want to edit this. I can now click on that field header and switch this to autonom. Okay. The other thing I was saying I want to add is I want to add a post type. So we're going to call this field type. If I come down here to this, I'll say it's going to be a single select. If I just think about YouTube, it could either be a long form video. What did I do? I think I got to redo that. Adding fields I found is slightly tricky from here. Yeah, I got to do it perfectly. Let's just try. Oh, well. Come back here to this blue thing. I'm going to search for the type field. There's no type field. Have I already added the type field? Let's try fields visible. All right, it says there's no field called type. Was it because this isn't filled in? Okay, as you can see, something must be going a little bit wrong in here. Okay, now we have this. So we have type of post. Well, keep it as type of post. It's either going to be a long form video, short form video, a text plus image, or text only. think those are going to be my main types in here. Or let's say text plus video. Because maybe I'll post on Facebook or LinkedIn and it'll be a long form or short form text plus video or image. And I usually like, this is just my personal preference again, I usually like to color these some more bold colors just so it stands out a little bit more, and I just like the way it looks. So let's use those colors, confirm that. Now I want to click back in this grid because I want to pull that field up closer to the beginning. And let's make I like AutoNum as the first field in here, just because it then gets carried across. If you want to freeze multiple columns, this is sometimes tricky to get to work in the interface, but you can click and drag this little bar right here and you could get it to freeze multiple columns. It's rare actually that I get that to work, to be honest. It's very tricky. If Airtable's watching this, I would love it if that worked better. Okay, so just cleaning up some field widths there. I'm not going to publish this yet just because it's hard to get back into the preview mode because I always forget the shortcut. Okay, so now I can come down here and say, okay, so I recorded this long form video. I'm going to say one long form video. It's going to be in progress. And the name of it can be, let's say, update record forms with Airtable. I'm actually not sure that I need the name for it anymore, but I want to do, because the reason is I used to use the name as like what's going to be the title of the video basically, but now it's more or less what the idea is. I also kind of want to do a short form video also on Ben Green YouTube and also posting on the same day. And we can say that one is in progress as well. So we're going to say this is going to be a short. Okay, so now what we have here is we have this brief. So we got it to the brief stage. We've added some content in here. Now what I may want to go do is I may want to like push this to the next stage. So the next stage, if like idea phase is basically a planning stage, then we're in brief development. And then it may be, I would say, like ready for kickoff. So if everybody is happy with this and all the posts are created and like it's all properly done, then I'd say it's like ready for kickoff. Once we start working on this, I guess it's maybe even already in progress. I'm not sure, but we were in brief. It's now been planned. So I want to move it to a next stage. I just need to really think hard about what's that proper stage that represents the next status. Because maybe I want to, ideally I'm creating all the posts and then I'm like done with it, or like the brief development process is complete and we're like now in the content production phase. So let's go out of preview mode here. Previously, if you watched the last video, I added filters over here, so I was only seeing certain things. I'm actually going to take off that filter because I'm going to add new stages to this. So let's edit the stage here. You can go from idea to brief, and now let's say production. Production is going to be green, so I had the idea, and then we were in brief development. Let's say brief or planning. And then now I've planned my content, so now the content's going to be in production. Once all the content has been in production, it should basically go to a analysis phase. And then after we've analyzed it, then it basically needs to be like in a closed phase. So the purpose of the analysis phase, like after production is done, everything would have been planned. We can then go analyze like how is the performance of this idea. And then after we analyze that, then it can go to closed. I think that's a good life cycle of an idea to brief, at least for my sake in this. You could come up with your own, of course, there. But let's say that's the case. So previously I added a button up here for brief submitted. Let's add a new one and say move to production. And let's say update the record. This is actually something new. You can require confirmation. So it's like a little pop-up modal that it's a pop-up modal that basically makes people confirm that they want to do something before like doing it. And let's say, so this button field that I'm adding over here should only be visible in certain cases. So it should only be visible if my post is not empty. So I've added at least one post. And let's also say only make that button visible if the stage is brief/planning. So let's look at what this looks like. Let me just see if I would have any other issues. So I'm going to demo this from all the way from the beginning. Part of that, I just need to add this little checkbox in here, just so I'm going to do it for this video. So the video that I'm making right now, I'm going to take this through this whole process. So from the idea form, I would have had an idea, and my idea would have been creative brief plus content planning in Airtable Interfaces. It's actually probably a decent title for this video. Maybe compare that with the title you see on the video. We'll see if that ends up being the same thing. The audience for this is going to be marketing professionals, because that makes up a large amount of our clients. That's like what we help with a lot of businesses, is building workflows just like this, which again, you can check out the link in the description to do that. The purpose of this is to educate on how to, let's see, move marketing projects through pipeline. So now I can submit that as a brief. So now I've submitted it as a brief, and now down here I can see, okay, now I can start planning some posts. So it looks like it actually, for some reason, let's refresh the page, but it took me off of that record for some reason. I'm not sure if maybe I have a something to do on that button where brief submitted. Oh, so here it says after update, move to next record. That's why I did that. So if I turn that off now, it's not going to take me to a different record. Sweet. So creative brief plus content planning. So after this video, what I will do is I will add some raw files here. I could add any other notes here. So I don't think I have any other notes for right now. But down here, I want to go start planning some posts. I want to plan a long form video, because this is now, I'm recording it, it's 19 minutes so far. That's going to end up on Ben Green YouTube. And I want to plan that for Friday the 13th. It's coming up. And that is now going to be planned. I don't have a live URL for that. I think I can make a short using this video, maybe even possibly this clip in this. So in my brief development process here for my creative production, I'm going to use this to make a short out of this for Ben Green YouTube with a posting date of 9/13. That's going to be planned. So this is going to be a short, adding shorts to brief planning. That's going to be the short. The long form video, I don't have a great system around this, so I'm just going to say the name of that is that right now. There's also going to be another short for Ben Green YouTube, and we'll say that one can be posted on the 14th. It's going to be planned. And this is going to be a short for data. Well, let's just take the video and see if when it gets assigned to our editors, they can take it the rest of the way. So where I would take this from here is I would ideally have a place where I can start planning out deliverables, but this is just how you can take from things from being in brief and now move it into production. So on this one, I'm going to say, maybe I'll add one more thing in here. So I'll say this is going to be text plus image for Ben Green LinkedIn. I'm also going to plan that for next week. And actually, let's do text plus video. Maybe we'll include the video from this. So that's now planned. I'm going to say this now should be in production. I am going to change the color of this because I usually don't like gray buttons. That's now in production, but now I need to go back and like mess with some of my visibility because once it's in production, I don't want this to just disappear. So let's go edit this visibility rule right here. Status is any of, so it's made it past brief basically is what I want down here. And then later on, I can start adding stuff for analysis. So that's pretty much it so far. If you want to know more about conditional visibility in buttons in Airtable, so like some of these buttons that I've added up here, I do have a video that I'll link here in the end screen where you can go check that out and see just a little bit more about how to build these different detail pages out. If you want some help building this out for your business or for your department, just click the video or click the link down in the description and you can request some time from me or someone on my team. I'll see you there.